All right, well, thank you for joining. Although you're not able to see me on the screen, my name is Sonia Four, and I'm the Academic Support and Career Support Coordinator for Laurel Ridge Community College. And I am here today to talk with you about how to transition from campus to career. Sometimes that feels like a big, scary step, but there are smaller steps that you can take to help you prepare for that. And we're going to talk about that today. So first things first. Whoops. First things first, let me go back there and get this off my screen. There we go. We're going to talk today about understanding what exactly career readiness is, how to know if you are career ready, and then we're going to talk about how to showcase and share some of your strengths. We're going to talk a little bit about job simulations and a lot about internships and micro-internships. And then we'll talk a little bit about next steps or things that you can do if you're very excited about the information that you get today and you want to get started on these things, then I'm going to tell you how to do that. So let's see, what is career readiness? How would you put that into a definition? What does that mean to be career ready?
Like honing in on the skills that you perfected?
Okay, so honing in on your skills, first of all, you have to know what your skills are, right? So there's a little bit of self-awareness maybe that goes into being career ready. What else?
Preparing for like jobs, tasks throughout the day.
Okay, and how do you prepare?
Usually get like instructions or you already have a general idea of what you're going to be doing.
Okay, great. So let's take a look at the 8 career readiness competencies that were developed or put together by NACE, N-A-C-E. That is the National Association of Colleges and Employers. So this is an organization that specializes in connecting the people who train us with the people who hire us. And that's a big, important connection to have. We also have a Virginia Association of Colleges and Employers, and of course we are called VACE. So we have NACE and VACE, but this information is coming specifically from the National Association, and these are the 8 competencies that they have identified. First of all, critical thinking. Critical thinking is so important. It's so important that, you know what, there's actually a critical thinking segment on our nursing entrance exams. So that is so important. It is just like any other skill that you acquire at college, maybe even more important because you can use that anywhere. In critical thinking. So how to analyze information and solve problems. Employers want people who not only have some knowledge, but have some ability to say, hey, I see a problem, and hey, it's kind of like, do you guys know who Vanilla Ice is? Yeah, he says, if you got a problem, I solve it. He doesn't just say, oh, that's not working. He knows how to fix it, right? Communication, how to exchange that information. So if you see that something is not working, who do you tell and how do you approach someone and how do you propose a solution without sounding like, oh, here I am, this rookie, here I am, the new hire, and I'm going to come in and tell you exactly how to fix all your things. No, we need to know how to communicate effectively, both verbally and written, because a lot of your communication now is in email. Most all of our communication is in email. So how to be effective both in speaking and in writing. Teamwork, building collaborative relationships. So how do you build teamwork? Think outside the box. What have you done in your life that helps you to build teamwork?
Spend time with the people.
Spend time with people, right? In class. But how else can you build teamwork?
Sharing concepts and ideas with one another.
Okay. So maybe a group of, maybe not classmates, but it could be a group of friends, right? So thinking outside the box, when we'll talk in a minute, just briefly, I'm not gonna spend too much time on resumes because there are other folks this week who have already done a fantastic job of sharing information about resumes. But if you're thinking about a resume as a college student, you may not yet have a whole lot of experience to put on that resume. So we're looking at the resume with, maybe you're highlighting some classes that you've taken, and then you've got a lot of white space, and you don't want a lot of white space. So how do you fill that in? What can you highlight? How can you show an employer that you have developed some of these skills like teamwork? Well, have you played any type of sport? Have you joined any type of club or organization? All of those things require teamwork, the ability to work with others. And so it's going to be really important as you develop your resume and build your brand, and we'll talk a lot about that, that you show not only what you've done, but how you've done that and how well you've done that also. Technology. Oh my goodness. Leveraging technology, digital tools, not just using them, but how to use them ethically. That is so important. We hear so much conversation today about AI and how, we see the other side of that, the other spectrum of how AI sometimes can be used unethically. And we have to be very careful about that. Leadership, being able to motivate yourself and others. Again, just like teamwork, how could you maybe develop leadership? You don't have to be leading a department. You could be the lead cashier at your weekend job at the 7-Eleven or the Walmart. That's leadership. So it's really important to work on those little victories. You can celebrate those, and you can really shine a light on yourself by highlighting those. Again, sports. If you were the lead on or the team captain or something like that. Maybe not everyone's into sports, but maybe you led a youth group for your church or anything that's got that leadership in there. Those are things that you can put on a resume. Resumes do not have to just be for employment. Even if you didn't get paid, you can put something on your resume that highlights your strength and your skills. Professionalism, so important. Employers are always looking for that. Make sure that you show up on time, you demonstrate integrity, and that, again, that goes along with working with others. People don't want to work with someone who doesn't demonstrate integrity, right? And don't be quick to call you out on it. Career and self-development. This goes along with that self-awareness that we first talked about. In order to know what you're good at, you have to know yourself. Sometimes we don't know what our strengths are. And when we talk about branding, I'll mention this again. Sometimes the easiest way to find out is to ask the people who know you. Hey, what's my strength? If you had to say one word about me or a few words about me, what would you say? I recently attended an event where the speaker literally pulled out his phone and he called 3 people and said, it's me, and can you describe me in 3 words? That's scary, right? I wonder if maybe they may have had some advanced knowledge that he was going to call them, but all 3 of them said very similar things. Mm-hmm. And so to me, that was like, okay, so this is sincere. This is not someone, they weren't exactly the same. They weren't scripted. It didn't sound scripted, but it was close enough to say, okay, this is genuine. These people really know this speaker. And so maybe asking some folks about yourself and your own strengths, how you could highlight those. Equity and inclusion. This is very important also. We need to practice this in every aspect of our lives, and in not just our personal lives, our college lives, but every aspect of our lives, including our employment and getting ready for careers. In addition, if you really want to know if you're ready for a career, there is a course that you can take called Developing Your Career Readiness Skills. It takes about 8 hours of your time. This is presented in cooperation through the State Council for Education for Virginia, and also the Virginia Talent and Opportunity Partnership. You'll hear me say that word a lot. The Virginia Talent and Opportunity Partnership is doing a tremendous amount of work in trying to help to keep our talent within the state of Virginia, studying, working, living. And so you'll hear that name a lot. But this course is broken down into modules, just like your modules at Laurel Ridge. And it's actually in Canvas, so it's very familiar. So there are 9 modules. What do we see here? The first 8 are what? Those, we just looked at them. Those are the competencies from NACE. So these are what we call in alignment. Things in alignment are beautiful. And so this is fully aligned with the NACE competencies. And as you can see, this is a self-paced course. It takes about 8 hours time, and it's absolutely free. So if you need something to do over spring break, well, that's gone already. I guess over summer, this would be a very worthwhile endeavor if you're thinking about getting ready for your career. So I said a minute ago, we're going to talk a little bit about your brand. When we hear brand, we think about brands like Nike or Starbucks, and those bring very vivid pictures to our mind when we think about that. That's how we need to develop ourselves. We need to be so crystal clear that someone who knows us could, they could hear a few words and go, oh, I know who you're talking about, and your face shows up in their mind. So how do you build a brand? Well, these days, there is a platform called LinkedIn. You've probably heard it. Maybe you're even using it. They are great for building a brand. They are social media without the, I guess sometimes I refer to that as the anti-social media, because sometimes our social media platforms have become so divided and so aggressive and so siloed, and sometimes they don't feel so social to me anymore. It kind of feels antisocial. But this is a platform for social networking that is focused on professionalism, sharing of ideas, empowering and uplifting each other, and it is a great place to start building your brand. So according to LinkedIn, how to build your personal brand, you first of all, it really boosts your opportunities for finding employment and becoming employed. But to begin building your personal brand, I love this, you must have a clear focus, authenticity, expertise, passion, and strong self-awareness. You can't convince someone else who you are unless you know who you are, right? So we've got to be aware of our own strengths. We've got to be aware of our own weaknesses, because those are the things that we want to work on. If you, after evaluating your values and what you stand for, you have to be so crystal clear. You have to have that clarity about what your value is and what you bring. What is your value proposition? How can you walk into a company and say, hey, I'm here and I have value and you are going to want me on your team? It's not as simple as that. We can't be that direct, but we have to feel that. You have to know that in your heart and in your mind about yourself. Okay. But branding is so important. Throughout this PowerPoint, which we will share out, there are some great links, links that will take you directly to the resources from which I pulled some of these bullets and some of this information. Now, this is something that I find to be hysterical. Let me move this box here out of the way so you can see this. So here's the difference between just knowing yourself and having a brand. So this dog says, what'd you do today? Well, I chased a squirrel. This is a dog that's not worried about developing a brand, okay? The other guy says, I am proud to announce that I effectively executed a rapid response squirrel displacement strategy to mitigate potential yard intrusions. I'm humbled by the unwavering support of my family and local stakeholders. What's a stakeholder? This is a word that you need to know. A stakeholder in this situation might be a bird that lives in the yard also. A stakeholder is someone who is affected or who is connected by a certain community or a certain situation. For example, stakeholders of this college are students, faculty, staff, our college board. So those are all stakeholders. So in this situation, he has gotten all the support of the stakeholders in this situation. The experience reinforced the importance of vigilance, ownership, and continuous improvement. Looking forward to scaling this impact in future engagements. So while this is a wild exaggeration, these are some of the tactics that you'll want to employ when you are creating your resume, when you are applying for things, not just jobs, but maybe internships or micro-internships. We'll talk about that. And building your brand. Having said that, does that look as genuine as this? Right? There's a line. So there might be somewhere, there's a gray area in between I chased a squirrel and I mitigated a potential yard intrusion that you have to settle upon. Too many, what my generation referred to as 50-cent words. Too many long words just become fluff. And then that is disingenuous. And we don't want to go too far in that either. So there is a balance. Here. But I thought that was a very, very cute little graphic. Okay, so again, LinkedIn. LinkedIn has a complete student playbook. It's about 8 pages or so that highlights exactly how you go about using them, from creating your profile to networking with people. Networking in my day, making myself sound very old, which I am not, but networking years ago meant you had to go somewhere and you had to be dressed professionally. You had to do. Now, networking is done from your home, from your house, from your computer. You can network using LinkedIn simply by following someone who is who has it together, so to speak. Following someone who shares your ideals, your work interests. So connecting online, that's your networking. But you don't have to get all dressed up and go somewhere to do it. It's much easier now. Okay? But it's also much easier for everybody else in your network to see what you're liking, who you're connecting with. And so that is that's kind of the other side of that. So you have to this is why having a place like LinkedIn that is all professional, that is all professionals doing it, you know, if you're liking or following your favorite band or your whatever interest on using Twitter, Facebook is like Facebook's like a thing of the past, right? Facebook is almost as dead as MySpace.
It's getting there.
It's getting there. So the MySpace was my first foray into social networking, and I'm kind of glad that no one looks at that anymore. But yeah, so you know, you have all of your personal connections with your Twitter or others, but LinkedIn is a place just for being your brand. Okay, and so that's important to have that space reserved for your career and for career endeavors. So also, again, links on these pages, creating your professional identity, starting to pave your career path and growing your network. These are the 3 steps that LinkedIn recommends in building your brand as a student. So, job simulations. Has anyone ever done a job simulation?
I have 2 that I have saved once the semester ends. But
that's fantastic. So who are you using as your provider for a job simulation?
I found it in Navigate 360.
It's amazing. So yes, Forage. Forage is brought to us through Navigate, or the company that owns Navigate, which is EAB. You might see that in some places when you go in to navigate to make an appointment or to look at things, your degree plan and so on and so forth. But Forage is all about job simulations. And this really can help you to know and to kind of confirm if you feel like you know what your career path looks like. It can help you confirm that. If you are really not sure what your career path looks like, it can help you to design one. So either way, if you're totally unsure or you think you're pretty sure, a job simulation can be great for you. Now, Forage does not have a simulation for every single thing that you could possibly be. As a matter of fact, every day there are new job titles being created that weren't even in existence yesterday. So you don't have to know exactly what you want to be, but having some idea about where you would like to go is good. If you are totally unsure, maybe the first step is not to do a job simulation, but to do a career interest type survey. There are links to those, several of the different ones on our career services webpage. And all you have to do is go to laurelridge.edu and type in career services, and that'll take you to our page. So that might be the first step. But if you kind of have a good idea, let's say I think maybe I want to go into accounting, or I think maybe I'm going to kind of go broad and do business administration, but I know that really I need a little bit of a focus area. You may want to do several different simulations to see which one is the best fit for you. And Forage can help you to do that. It also helps you to fill in that white space on your resume. They can take from a few hours to several hours. You can pick and choose the companies that you want to work with in your simulation. And they essentially set up, problems. Maybe not problems, but they set up scenarios and situations that you would encounter in a real day in the life in that job. And they take you through those steps. It can really increase the likelihood that you will get hired in that role if you have completed the simulation. It helps you to test drive your career. We wouldn't buy a car without test driving it, right? And so why would we commit to a career, a lifetime of work potentially? Although probably not a lifetime. I think the average person changes careers about 7 or 8 times in their life now. But at least a portion of your life. If you test drive a car, you should test drive your career. And the good thing about a simulation is that this has low barrier to entry. What that really means is it's open for everybody. You don't have to apply and be accepted. All you have to have is an interest in completing it. And so it's easy to sign up and complete a job simulation. And again, here's a link to Forage and all of their job simulation boards. Here is another little screenshot. You can narrow them down. Say, hey, I want to do a little simulation that's under an hour. Have an hour to kill. Better than Netflixing for an hour. Just do a job simulation. You can choose companies and so on and so forth. Again, don't have to explain that. Self-explanatory. One of almost 300 job simulations that are available to our students through Forage. And again, absolutely free. So we're going to move from simulations to kind of the next step, which is either a micro internship, and obviously micro means mini or small. So a little short internship to an internship that could last a season or a year. We don't know. There are all types of internships and with different durations and different levels of commitment. How do you gain real world experience? Well, this is a great way. And employers say that interns become full-time employees and really reduce their the cost of recruiting and hiring. So if you're an employer and you have someone who's interested in coming to test drive a career, by the time they're finished their test drive, they know what to do. So your training is already of that person is already completed. A tremendous amount of resources, time and money are spent by companies in training and hiring and recruiting. So this helps to really fill that gap. A lot of employees who start as an intern, stay for at least a year, right? They become an intern and then they stay for at least a year in that job if they decide to join as an employee. And 80% of employers say internships provide the best return on their investment. So I'm sold. I think employers like interns. What do you think? Yeah. Again, if you are thinking about doing an internship, which I highly encourage you to do, they can be paid or unpaid. I would try to find a paid one if you can, but even unpaid experience is going to pay in the end. And so it is there you have a return on that investment. But the same folks that State Council for Higher Education, again, in cooperation with Virginia Talent and Opportunity, has also developed another course that can help you become internship ready. And some of the things, some of the modules or some of the topics is, what is career readiness? Again, why does it matter? Exploring basics of internships, how do you develop interviewing skills? So this goes a long way, not just how to get an internship, what is it, but it helps you to develop those other skills like interviewing, not just for an internship, but for a job as well. So these are very worthwhile. Again, this is just an 8-hour commitment and free for our students, free for everyone actually. So how do you find an internship? Well, we're going to go from micro to macro. So first, let's look internally. Let's look right here at Laurel Ridge. Our Career Services Department manages a job board, and we have employers all over our region posting jobs every single day. They're looking for students. Why? Why do you think an employer would look for a student?
Because they're local.
They're local, yes. What else?
This would probably because they know probably desperate for a job, honestly.
Maybe they know that students sometimes really need some extra cash.
They're educated.
They're educated and they have what?
I want to say,
Motivation,
I was gonna say the return on the investment.
return on investment. You know that as time goes on, your employee is getting smarter and smarter and smarter, right? They're gaining more and more skills. So this is like, you take the little baby chick, but you're going to end up with the chicken, so to speak. That's probably not a very good example, but you know what I mean. You're just going to grow and mature and turn out be more than what you were even at the beginning of your employment. But also, if you're a student, you have a certain level of commitment and perseverance already. So employers love to see that. They love to see people who are investing in themselves and that they're going to persevere through tough times and stick with it. And that's why it's so important to complete. I have this conversation with students all the time because I work with students in the tutoring center and the testing center and also in career services. So I get a chance to talk to people about a lot of different things to do with their education. And I've told many people, I have been very, very blessed. My road has not been straight. I started out thinking that I wanted to be a teacher, and I'm really very lucky and fortunate right now to continue my work in education, but I wanted to be a teacher. And my life took a few turns. I entered college as a single mom, but I pushed through. It took me 6 years to get my bachelor's degree, but I did it. And I went to work in middle school teaching French, and I hated it.
Oh no.
It was restrictive. I just didn't have a great experience. I wanted everyone in my classroom to be as passionate about speaking French as what I was. And they were like, no, they were not there yet. You know, middle school's a tough time. They were not there because they wanted to. They were there because they had to, and they had a choice between Spanish or French. and they made a choice. So it wasn't satisfying for me. And so I left that. After leaving that experience, I was the chicken and biscuit lady at Hardee's. That was fun. I actually rolled rawhide to make dog bones for a period of time.
What is that?
So it's a cowhide.
Oh,
Yeah. And so I would cut them in pieces and I would roll them up and tie them in knots. You've seen those dog bones in the store, those white ones. Well, that job, when the hides came in, they were soaked in peroxide because they needed to be bleached and they needed to be clean. And guess what happened? All my fingernails fell off.
Oh.
For a period of time, I had no nails, but it was piecework. And the faster I worked, the more money I made. And so I was committed to changing my situation. So as I said, and that was kind of a deviation from my original story, but my point is that a lot of people have that kind of a path. Your path is not necessarily a straight line. More often it's like a pretzel. It kind of winds around and crosses and connects. And if you are in the industry or in the career that you started out thinking you wanted, or even close, that's actually kind of a rare thing. Okay. So all of that being said, if you're really not sure where you are headed, that is okay. Employers will see your dedication as a student, and they often will be flexible with your schedule to allow you to attend class. They will hopefully, if it's a good employer, encourage you to continue, even knowing that you may leave their employment because you are growing and maybe outgrowing that job. Some employers will even help pay for your continued education. So how do you find a good employer like that? Maybe through internships. Internship is a great way to commit a little bit. You're not saying, I'm going to sign all the papers and I'm going to stay here with you and be your employee for 10 years. It's trying it out. You might go to work for an employer and find, wow, this is great. Look how they treat their other employees. There's really a great community sense here in this office or in this organization. And look how they support their employees and look how they encourage them to grow. And you may do little bits with internships and find a lifelong partner to stick with in this way. So don't forget that one of the first places to start is through the Laurel Ridge job board. As you can see, this was posted just a few days ago, right? Warren County looking for a summer intern. Interesting stuff. Another way to find internships is by joining Handshake. Handshake is an employment listing. It's kind of like, Handshake is actually kind of like Indeed meets LinkedIn, because there are other ways to interact other than just looking at a straight job board. It's free for students. I would encourage everyone to sign up for a free Handshake account because there are jobs that are posted all over the Commonwealth, and not just jobs, but lots and lots of internships. You can narrow it down by your demographic, your area, not your demographic, your geographic area, and your interest, all different types of ways to narrow the field and look for those. Here is an interesting one, teamship. So it's kind of like internship, but then it's that team building kind of thing. Teamship is a very micro short-term internship. And we just had 3 of our Laurel Ridge students complete this teamship opportunity for 2026. So what they did, they applied, they were selected among a lot of other folks from JMU. I'm so proud of our Laurel Ridge Community College students for doing this. And they were presented with a real problem that a company had. And then they collaborated with others to solve that problem. This was all done virtually. Their meetings in Zoom. It was a very short-term thing, just a few weeks or a couple months at the most. And so now they have that experience. What a great experience to put on your resume. I am a teamship participant and I solved this problem for this company. Do you think maybe that company would be interested in hiring one of those? Yeah, I think so for sure. Again, remember when at the beginning, I said, you gotta be like vanilla ice. You got a problem, I'll go solve it. Here's another great place to look for internships. I told you were gonna hear the word VTOP or Virginia Talent and Opportunity Partnership a lot in this presentation. There is a site specifically, the link is right there in my face. So there's lots of different opportunities, and I will tell you that we are Region 8. There is a marketing internship currently available and was let's see.
I think you could minimize that.
Thank you. The deadline is coming up at the end of May. So it's open for a period. Where are you? There we go. It's open for a period of time. And again, just another place that you can find internships. Now, this is not fully developed, but I will tell you that the entire state of Virginia and the entire Virginia community college system is really engaged and really working toward this idea of work-based learning. So internships, micro-internships, teamship, all of these opportunities are coming because we know employers are looking not just for knowledge, but they're looking for experience. But how do you get experience without a job? And how do you get a job without experience? That's an age-old problem. But these opportunities in internships, even if they're virtual, are really giving students an opportunity to build their resume, to build their toolbox, and to get some of that experience without having to commit to an employment. And so the Virginia Community College System, which you are a part of, is currently developing this entire portal where both employers and students can log in. Employers can post their internship opportunities and students can browse them and apply for them. So this is a huge statewide initiative. And this website is currently being built. And so soon, if you are a student, you can go and browse all of the opportunities across the Commonwealth. So if the VCCS is getting in on this, it's a big deal, right? These types of things take a lot of time and money to build. So to build an entire website dedicated to this work-based learning, you know that this is something that is serious and is important and is going to be around for a while. Okay, so wow, it's about, oops, didn't mean to do that. There we go. So time to wrap up. What can you do next? Well, first, if you're not really sure at all where you think you might want to spend your time, even a little bit of time, like an internship or a forage job simulation, take a career interest assessment. They're all free. You can get a lot of them on our career services website. Then if you do have an idea of where maybe you want to spend some time, do a simulation because that can help you narrow the field. You want to go into accounting? Okay, well, but you want to be a forensic accountant and you want to kind of use investigative skills and find out where people are embezzling money from and those kind of exciting things? Or are you more of, I just want to be a bookkeeper. I don't have that inquisitive sense. You can find that out by doing some of these simulations. Update your resume. Once you start gathering some of this information and some experience, it's so important to update your resume. You're going to want to have a resume that is kind of a template. I hate to say it, you can't send the same resume to 50 people. You have to specify, or you have to customize, is a better word, your resume to each job that you're applying for. Because what you want to do is you want to look at that job listing and see exactly what they're looking for, and then you want to change your resume to tell them that you are exactly what they're looking for. So what you're searching for should match what they are searching for. And you know who decides whether it's a match most of the time? AI these days. So, right? So this is why you have to look for those keywords in that job description, and you have to figure out, without being like that dog and making some wild, preposterous claim of all the things you've done, you have to figure out a way to, with integrity and being genuine, saying, okay, I have done what you're looking for. That's where that self-awareness comes in. And by completing these simulations and little internships and micro-internships, you can develop some of those skills so that you can, with integrity, say, yes, I have. Yes, I do know. And yes, I can do that. But it takes a little bit of work. You'll want to explore those internships and micro-internships. Again, all of this stuff is linked to our career services page, but we'll be sharing out this PowerPoint that has all the links in there too. Lots of places to look. Most importantly, come and see me or Lisa Broombach, who works with me in career services. Our academic and career support center, better known as the tutoring center. See how I did that? I was like that dog. It's the tutoring center, but we're going to call it the academic and career support center. Is inside the library right here on Middletown campus. And you can reach us by that email and that phone number. And with that, I will close, but I would be open for questions. Do you have any hypothetical questions or real questions? Yes.
I have a question about resumes.
You okay?
I feel like job hunting is a job in itself.
It is.
And then when you say to like customize your resume, I know that you want to make it specific for the employer that you are applying for the job. Is there any, because like there's the summary at the top of like the cover page, but like are there any specific places within the resume that you think that we should focus on when we customize?
Yes. So this is very important. There's a difference between what we call a chronological resume and a functional resume.
Okay.
And I think it's very important for students to focus on that functionality.
Mm-hmm.
So if you had lots of experience, you could chronologically say, well, my last job was this, and then this, and then this, and then this. First of all, you always want to start with your summary of qualifications. We don't use objective anymore. Your objective is to get a job, right? That's the thing. So what you want to do is a summary of qualifications. It should be short, a few sentences. And then you want to start telling your story with not a year or a period of time, but a skill. And you want to say, like, leadership. It's great to look at those NACE competencies. And you want to use action words too. What did you do to develop this skill? And again, so that could be leadership. And then you want to say, how I developed leadership was I led a group of hikers, on the Appalachian Trail. I mean, I'm being, wildly exaggerating here, but so you want to identify those skills, and then you want to tell your story about how you use them, how you develop them, and how you can then use them for that company.
Okay.
If you'd like to see examples of functional resumes, please come by Career Services. I'd be happy to share some of those with you. Any other questions?
I had a question about the job simulation thing. How does it work? I'm not telling you.
The job simulation?
Uh-huh.
Okay, so what it is kind of like a class, kind of like that. So you sign up to specifically learn about a day in the life and what is really expected of as an employee of a specific company in a very specific career field. So let's say you sign up for retail management. It's going to tell you, okay, here's what you're going to open the store, you're going to load the cash register, you're going to create employee schedules, and it's just going to simulate you working in that area.
Oh, okay.
Okay, so again, the easiest way to find out is to just try it. You can sign up for something that takes as little as an hour, as we saw there. So just so sign up. You will go to theforage.com. again, linked in the PowerPoint or through our our career services website. And it's, again, part of Navigate 360. So you may even find it through there. I think later on this year, as students become more aware, I think we will have more communication being pushed out to students about how to sign up. We don't want to inundate students with something called Forage, and they don't know what this is, and this is, like one other thing. Students get a lot of emails and a lot of notifications, and we don't want to confuse anyone. We want to get the word out and get a little more awareness of what that is before we start soliciting and offering it to students. But right now, theforage.com will get you there, and then you can browse, you can choose companies, you can choose career fields, and just sign up. It's all free. And there's really, as much as I encourage you to finish what you start, if you get into it and you go, this is not for me, no harm done.
Yeah.
Right? So, but you can try before you buy. Yes.
Where is this PowerPoint accessible?
This PowerPoint will be accessible through the Student Life website where all of the events are posted. So I will provide this to Mr. Lambert and Mr. Balia, and they will post it there for me. Anything else?
Oh,
Yes,
sorry,
please.
where do we find, like, I know you still mentioned like the 8 career readiness quiz, where do you find that exactly?
The career
Like the career
readiness
readiness thing, you
quiz?
have to like go through like the 8 things, where do you find that exactly?
Yes, so that actually, you could find that by going online and searching for NACE. NACE, it's short for National Association of Colleges and Employers. And their competencies are one of the first things that they want to share, competencies, yep. But again, if you go back into Student Life and look up this presentation, which should be there under Student Leadership Series 2026, you'll find the PowerPoint that has every link there.
Thank you.
You're welcome. All right, folks, thank you for attending.
Thank
You've been
you.
awesome. I love the questions and the engagement. I appreciate your attention so much. Please come and see me in the Academics and Career Support Center, aka Tutoring Center in the library.